I'm going to clip this part of Ben Dixon's show because as somebody who considers I try to be an ally. I try to be an ally. Um, and so when people articulate the problem very well, I like to highlight these things. So, for instance, when Alexandria Ocasio Cortez stated that defund the police means that communities of color, immigrant communities, black communities, they want the same level of services as what white communities have. What they're talking about is they don't want to be over militarized, over policed communities. They want to have the necessary services available to address all of the various needs of their population. And I think Ben Dixon covers this very well in this particular segment.
Are trying to overthrow democracy because their Führer didn't win.
And Ben, before we wrap up here, I want to get your thoughts on this last clip. Biden was asked about defunding the police. Take a listen.
Defunding the police, though, because there's
no. I've never said defunding the police. Look, I don't know any community, particularly the communities that are in the most need and the poorest and the most at risk, that don't want police. They want police, though, to look at them as equals. They want police to treat them in a way. They don't want police abusing.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, those are good. Those are cool things. We do want the police to treat us as equals. We do want police to respect our communities, and but we also need a strong reallocation of resources so that there is not a resource drain on our communities. Taking those resources, taxpayer dollars, outside of the black community, sending it to white officers who don't even live in our neighborhoods. And we don't have the funding inside of our neighborhoods to prevent the kind of crime, because crime is an economic construct. There's studies from Harvard University that show that there's a direct correlation and causal link. There is a causal link between crime and economics, Joe Biden. And so when we have a protection racket in the form of the police departments all across this country, seizing the vast majority of resources in every single one of our black communities, and those resources don't recirculate in our community, but they instead go out into the suburbs through proxy of all those white officers who come into our neighborhoods and patrol us like the Gestapo. I'm sorry, we want them to respect us, but one, I want some of them out of our neighborhoods, and two, we need to reallocate those resources, since you don't like to say defund the police.
And I feel
okay. I'm gonna stop there. I have shared this particular episode to my wall if you want to watch further. I think that the important takeaway for us white insensitive assholes that keep doing this bullshit. Number one, we need to stop trying to reframe the messaging that is coming out of the communities of color. If that's the messaging they want to use, then we need to understand it and educate our fellows about it and what it means. But we also need to stop being so reactionary to the GOP trying to take every one of these hashtags and turn it into a negative thing. We should not give a shit what the GOP thinks about leftist movements. We should be educating everybody around us about why these things are important and why they need to happen, rather than worrying about how people say things. Defunding certain programs makes sense in certain areas. If you're saying, look, we got to spend less money on police and more money on social services, that is defunding a program. And people need to stop freaking the fuck out every time there's a new hashtag out there promoting a leftist idea. My 2 cents.